Jai Shri Ram. This is the 8th chapter, Akshara Parabrahma Yoga, and the name in English Swami Nikhilananda is given is The Way to the Imperishable Brahman. Okay, that comes pretty close. But I would still insist on sticking to the original names because Sanskrit words are untranslatable. So Arjuna is asking a question: what is Brahman, what is the individual soul, and what is action or supreme person? What is it that is said to underlie? What is the underpinning of all the elements? And what is it that is said to underlie all the gods? And who, O Madhusudana, sustains all the sacrifices here in the body? And in what way and how again are you to be known at the time of death? By those who have practiced self-control. And the Lord said, Brahman is the imperishable, the supreme, dwelling in each body. Brahman is the imperishable supreme, dwelling in each body. Brahman is called the individual soul. The offering of the oblation, which brings into existence all beings and supports them, is called action. So here Swamiji has given a lot of notes. Let me quickly read that also at the bottom. According to Manu, the ancient Hindu lawgiver, the oblation offered in the oblation ante something that is offered in the fire, sacrifice. Offered in sacrifice rises to the sun. From the sun comes rain. From rain grows food, and from food come living beings. That which underlies, etc., it comprises all material objects. Cosmic spirit, which manifests itself as the controlling deity of the sun and also as the consciousness that functions through the sense organs of living beings. According to Hindu scriptures, the cosmic spirit manifests itself through luminous bodies such as the sun and moon and also functions through the different sense organs of the individual. Every sense organ is intimately related to and dependent on a luminous body, but the ultimate source of all light and intelligence is the cosmic spirit. He who sustains, etc., the presiding deity of the sacrifice, known in the Vedas as Vishnu, or the all-pervading spirit. Okay, Vasudeva or Vishnu means one who pervades everything. That means he is inside, he is within and without. He is immanent and transcendent. Immanent means within, transcendent means beyond. Okay. Now, that which underlies all the elements is the perishable entity, and that which underlies all the gods is the Purusha, the cosmic spirit, and he who sustains all the sacrifice is myself, here in the body, O best of men. So Krishna is confirming that he is the one who sustains everything. He is running the whole show and he is the receiver of all sacrifices. And now sacrifice doesn't mean slitting a goat's neck or chicken's neck. So that is simple. I think you have understood that much. And whoso at the time of death leaves his body remembering me alone and goes forth, he attains my being. Concerning this there is no doubt. Okay, that's a very interesting one. But you can't suddenly remember Krishna at the end. So unless you have practiced it, if you are always thinking of Krishna and conducting your life, then at the last minute also you will remember him. So there is no quick fix or shortcut here. Next, for whatever object a man thinks of at the final moment when he leaves his body, that alone does he attain, O son of Kunti, being ever absorbed in the thought thereof. So this is again very logical, rational. You know, in fact, there is a story of Bharata, Jada Bharata, or Bharata who has given his name. Our country is called Bharat. It is eponymous after Bharata. Eponymous. Eponymous means named after. So Bharata, he brought up a deer which died because the mother was killed by a hunter. And he got so attached to the deer that when he was dying, he was concerned about the young deer. And I believe, as the Puranic story goes, he was born as a deer. So, now take it or leave it. But when Krishna is saying it, there is no question of taking it or leaving it. If you want to leave it, then you can get out. You can follow some Munmiya and get lost. So, when Adi Shankara, Madhva, Ramanuja, all of them have accepted it. Apta Vakyam. Apta Vakyam means people who are really concerned, our well-wishers they are. And so, when great Maharshis have accepted Krishna as the Supreme Lord, and so we have to accept this. Of course, there are some possible interpolations in the Gita that we will discuss later. Okay. Therefore, at all times constantly remember me and fight with your mind and understanding absorbed in me. You will surely come to me. Engaged in the yoga of constant practice and not allowing the mind to wander away to anything else, he who meditates on the supreme resplendent Purusha reaches him, O son of Pratha. He who at the time of passing away, steady in mind, filled with love and armed with the strength of yoga, well fixes his prana between his brows and meditates on the omniscient and primal being, the ruler, the dispenser of all, who is subtler than an atom, whose form is beyond comprehension, and who, like the glorious sun, is beyond all darkness. He who thus meditates reaches the resplendent supreme person. Now, seriously, my intuition is telling me that this could be an interpolation. At the time of death, most people perhaps will have great difficulty and pain. So, only those who are constantly thinking of Krishna will be able to remember Krishna. But all these things, concentrating the mind, fixing the prana between the brows, these are processes which I presume are difficult. So, we will have to explore this. And I suspect this is an interpolation. I will now briefly describe to you what state which those who know the Vedas call the imperishable, and into which enter the sannyasis, self-controlled and freed from attachment and in desire, for which seekers lead the life of continence. Continence is abstaining from all sexual relationships. Brahmacharis. So live-in relationship, premarital sex, all this nonsense is not allowed. Next one, 12:13. He who closes all the doors of the senses, confines the mind within the heart, draws the prana into the head and engages in the practice of yoga, uttering Om, the single syllable denoting Brahman, and meditates on me, that is sufficient. He who so departs leaving the body attains the supreme goal. I am easy of access to that ever steadfast yogi, who, O Partha, constantly meditates on me and gives no thought to anything else. Having come to me, these I-souled men are no more subject to rebirth. So, this is the Akshara Parabrahma Yoga. So, Arjuna asked, Kim Tad Brahma, Kim Adhyatmam, Kim Karma Purushottama, Adhibhutam Cha Kim Proktam, Adhidaivam Kim Uchyate. We just finished reading up till 15. Okay. So, Krishna gave a detailed description of everything. These are all metaphysics and philosophy. Of course, in the course of their conversation, Krishna would have definitely educated Arjuna on all these things, because Arjuna was asking questions. But for us, it is sufficient to know the essence, the Vijnana. Vijnana, as we already discussed in the earlier chapter, Vijnana is higher than Jnana, and Vijnana simply means knowing that only Krishna exists, nothing else exists here. That's it. Everything is Krishna only. That is Vijnana. Jnana is knowing the names and theory and rituals and all those things. Knowing all the names of the ornaments and knowing that it is only gold. Jnana Vijnana. So, Antakale cha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram yah prayati samadbhavam yati nastyatra samshayaha. No doubt there. At the time of death, if somebody remembers Krishna, if you can remember Krishna, think of Krishna, then you will reach Krishna. That is a guarantee given here. Tasmat sarveshu khaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha mayyarpita mano buddhir mame vaishyasya asamshayaha. So always think of me and fight. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. So fighting is absolutely unavoidable, inevitable. You will have to fight. Every minute you have to fight. You may not be a soldier fighting on the war front, but life itself is the Kurukshetra. So there is no running away, no suicide allowed. You have to fight. But when you are fighting, always remember Krishna. Simple. 16th. The dwellers in all the worlds from the realm of Brahma downward are subject to rebirth. O Arjuna, but for those who reach me, O son of Kunti, there is no further return to embodiment. Brahma Bhavana Loka. We'll read the shlokas later. Those who know that the day of Brahma lasts 1,000 eons and that the night of Brahma lasts 1,000 eons again are indeed the people who know day and night. So eon is a term for galactic time. So Hindu Puranas will give you some calculation and all that. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty or brass tacks, I am not interested. मेरे को सिर्फ रस चाहिए. Raso Vaisaha. Krishna is joy personified. If we get stuck and bogged in all the details, then life will not be sufficient. Okay. So at the approach of the day, all manifested objects come forth from the unmanifested. That is Krishna. Within Krishna only everything will go. And at the approach of the night, they merge again into that which is called the unmanifested. The same multitude of beings coming forth again and again merge in spite of themselves. O Partha, at the approach of the night, and remanifest themselves at the approach of the day. So this is a inflationary universe, or inflates and deflates. So cosmic time is, ebbing and growing. So this is how it is continuous. Only in Hinduism you see Prabhava Pralaya, creation and dissolution go on continuously. In Islam and Christianity it is just one time. This is just for once, and once you go into eternal heaven, that is the end of the story. Eternal heaven actually will be logically boring. If you will become blasé, B-L-A-S-A. Blasé means loss of interest due to overexposure. You will get cloyed, C-L-O-Y-E-D. Cloyed ante మొహం మొత్తడం, తెలుగులో మొహం మొత్తడం. స్వీట్స్ బాగా ఇష్టం అని చెప్పి ఎక్కువ స్వీట్లు తింటే డోక్ వస్తుంది. సో క్లాయిడ్ మీన్స్ distaste due to excessive sweetness. You become jaded. So the concept in Christianity and Islam is illogical, and it's illogical for other reasons also. Why should anybody be born with diseases? Why are some children born blind? Or why are some people born in poverty while others in wealth? They can't answer. So if their God is merciful, they say their God is merciful. Why would a merciful God subject somebody to misery right from birth? Or horrible diseases, all kinds of things right from birth, and poverty and misery and squalor and exploitation, and women being subjected to the worst kind of exploitation. All these things, why is a merciful God doing? Merciful God should not be doing that. So there is no answer. So why should, if a baby dies, he has to wait in the grave till that D-Day, judgment day? What judgment can God pass on a baby who has not done anything? Babies also die, isn't it? So Christianity and Islam cannot stand to any logic. If we start cross questioning them, the only thing they can do is they can threaten us with a case, or the other fellow Muslims will get very angry. They would want to sartan se juda. That's all that is possible. They can't debate. Whereas Hinduism is very clear. The logic, at least, I don't know what is true, but the logic, it makes sense. So you will be born with difficulties or born into poverty because of your karma only. So one life is not sufficient. You will go on and on coming. How to get out of this? If you try to make do or make amends for all the papams in innumerable earlier janmas, then you will have to be born for millions of times. Therefore Krishna is offering a simple alternative. Sarvadharman parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. 1866. The whole essence of the Bhagavad Gita is captured in that one shloka, which is become Krishna's agent. Then the moment you become Krishna's agent, it is as if the plug has been pulled. If you switch off the fan, you are switching off the fan of samsara. Once you become Krishna's agent, totally dedicated to Krishna, if you switch off the fan, then the fan will revolve for some time and then it will come to a stop. Similarly, all the papams that we have done in millions of earlier births can be switched off by totally dedicating ourselves to Krishna, become a karma yogi, work for Krishna, and perform selfless action. Simple. This is the essence. If you understand this much, we don't have to waste too much time plowing through all this. P-L-O-W, plow. Plow ante dunnadamu, P-L-O-U-G-H is also there. Plow also means with great difficulty, study books and all that. Okay. 21. This unmanifested is called the imperishable. It is said to be the ultimate goal from which those who reach it never come back. And that is my supreme abode. What more do you want? Why should you pursue Munmya or Bandamya or Dargas or waste your time running here and there? Hindus, especially people who are aged, once they become aged, they expect to be respected. But Rama used the word Jarata Gardabha. You know what? Jarata Gardabha means old donkeys. In the Yoga Vasishtam, Rama calls all these people old donkeys, Jarata Gardabha. Why does he call them Jarata Gardabhas? Because Rama says humans who don't use their brain to understand what is higher reality are Jarata Gardabhas, old donkeys. Those fellows who are worshipping all these stupid babas and dargahs and tombs and All kinds. I don't even want to name them because otherwise they'll file a case against me. Stupid. It's disgusting. So we read this one, 8:15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam napnuvanti mahatmana samsiddhim paramangataha. Krishna is declaring, we already read this earlier, 8:15. Mamupetya punarjanma dukkhalayam ashashvatam. This human birth is dukkhalayam. But once you approach me, you will not have to come back again, because you have attained the supreme abode. So again a guarantee, but still people won't listen. Next, the Supreme Person in whom all beings abide and by whom the entire universe is pervaded can be attained, O Partha, by whole-souled devotion directed to Him alone. Is the same thing Krishna is saying repeatedly, because repetition is necessary, otherwise it won't sink. Every day you have to take a bath, isn't it? So every day you are taking a physical bath, but mental bath you can take by reading the Bhagavad Gita, and these repetitions are necessary, otherwise it won't sink. 23. Now I will tell you, O greatest of the Bharatas, the time in which the yogis depart never to return, and also the time in which they depart to return. Here lies the problem. You see, 8:23 onwards, many people have raised their hands and said they don't understand what this is. It is too complex. So here there is a very high probability this is an interpolation, because when Krishna is actually telling us that irrespective of whatever you do, if you are Krishna's agent, of course you can't do adharma and then become a karma yogi, then he will save you and you will be able to get over all the sins that you have done, papams. Now if that is true, then this can't be true. How can dying at a particular time, then if Ravana, Kichaka dies at a particular time, he should be saved? So this is contradicting with the essential idea. Therefore, there is a high probability this is interpolation, or if we want to rationalize it, we can also only say these metaphysical terms have been used simply to, that Dhuma Marga and Archira Marga. The path of darkness and the path of light. So the path of darkness is selfish work leading to rebirth. Path of light is selfless work that will give you moksha. So you can understand it like that. ऐसा भी सोच सकते हैं, and then reject the whole objection that this could be interpolation. Fire, light, daytime and bright half of the moon and the 6 months of the northward passage of the sun, taking this path, the knowers of Brahman go to Brahman. That is Uttarayanam. Smoke, night, the dark half of this moon and the 6 months of the southward passage of the sun, taking this path, the yogi reaches the lunar path and thence returns. This is clearly, you see, sounds like an interpolation, but I gave you my opinion already. These two paths, the bright and the dark, are deemed to be the world's eternal paths. Following the one, a man does not come back. Following the other, he is reborn. No yogi who understands these two paths is ever deluded. Therefore, O Arjuna, at all times be steadfast in yoga. This shloka is important. 27. Naite sruti partha janan yogi muhyati kaschana tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhava Arjuna. So the phrase that we have to remember is tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhava Arjuna. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu yoga yukto bhava Arjuna. So be a yogi, be engrossed in yoga, which is karma yoga. That is selfless action dedicated to Krishna at all times. That is the central message. If you understood that much, all this metaphysics and terminology is not necessary. The yogi who knows this transcends all the rewards laid down for the study of the Vedas, for sacrifices, for austerities, for making gifts. He reaches the supreme primal abode. Thus, in the Bhagavad Gita, the essence of the Upanishads, the science of Brahman, the scripture of yoga, the dialogue between Sri Krishna and Arjuna, ends the 8th chapter entitled The Way of the Imperishable Brahma, Akshara Parabrahma Yoga. So the last shloka, Vedeshu Yajneshu Tapasu Chaiva Daneshu Yatpunya Phalam Pradishtam Atyeti Tatsarvamidam Viditva Yogi Param Sthanam Upaiti Chadyam. వేదాల్లో, యజ్ఞాల్లో, తపస్సులో, దానాల్లో ఏ పుణ్య ఫలితాలు సిద్ధిస్తాయని చెప్పబడ్డాయో జ్ఞానయోగికి అవన్నీ అల్పములని తోచగలవు. ఆయా వేదకర్మలను ఫలశ్రుతిగా చెప్పబడినదేదైతే ఉందో అది అశాశ్వతము, మూలము ఉత్తమము అయినదే నీవు పొందు అని చెప్తున్నాడు శ్రీకృష్ణుడు. ఎంత క్లియర్గా ఉంది చూడండి. వేదాలు ఆ యజ్ఞాలు అవన్నీ చేయక్కర్లేదురా బాబు, అవన్నీ అశాశ్వతము, కర్మయోగిగా ఉండు. We have already read it, but I am focusing on the last one. The yogi who knows this transcends all the rewards, goes beyond, laid down for the study of the Vedas, sacrifices, austerities, for making gifts. He reaches the supreme primal Lord. So that means he is transcending the rewards laid down by the yoga. Here Krishna is categorically telling you, so don't bother about doing all the yogic, that is Vedic yajnas, because then you will enjoy in heaven and you will have to come back. So though he is not disrespecting Vedas, he is telling you that karma yoga is superior even to all the yajnas in the Vedas. So again I am reading the last shloka. Vedeshu yajneshu tapassu chaiva daneshu yat punya phalam pradishtam atyeti tatsarvamidam viditva yogi param sthanamupayati chadyam. So a yogi who performs devotional service transcends the fruits of Vedic study, all the sacrifices, charity and piety. He attains my supreme eternal abode. So this Dhuma Marga, Archira Marga, Uttarayana, Dakshinayana. Now there will be a very important question in your mind. In the Mahabharata, you have an interesting case, the case of Bhishma, who lay on the bed of arrows for 58 days till Uttarayana comes, and so he died only then. He had the siddhi of Ichha Mrityu, which his father Shantanu gave him, conferred on him, because he took the Bhishma vow not to marry. So he avoided all pleasures and sacrificed his pleasures for the sake of his father. So the father gave him a boon, Ichha Mrityu. Now, how to defend this? Because Bhishma waited to die in the Uttarayana. Logically, it doesn't make any sense to me. Because if, let us say, this terrorist, Osama bin Laden, suppose he dies in Uttarayana, do you think he will go to heaven or he will get moksha? Definitely not. Dakshinayana. So if somebody dies in Dakshinayana, he will come back. Uttarayana, he will not come back. That means he will get moksha. So obviously a terrorist who dies in Uttarayana cannot get moksha. So it doesn't make sense. So it is very difficult to explain, and perhaps the only thing we can do is, it was probably relevant to that yuga, Dwapara yuga. Because all these desert cults were not there. These mlecha scoundrels were not there with their stupid theories. So at that point of time, in the Dwapara yuga, perhaps it is relevant. Kali yuga, it does not make any sense. Whether you die in Dakshinayana or Uttarayana, it all depends on whether you have been a good man, whether you have accumulated punyam. If you have been busy accumulating punyam with a selfish motive, then you will go to heaven, enjoy and come back again to be born as a human. But if you become Krishna's agent, sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shucha. So selflessly, if you work as a karma yogi, join RSS, become Swayam Sevaks and work selflessly, then moksha is guaranteed. Jai Shri Ram. That is the central essence of the 8th chapter. Jai Shri Ram. Of course, now while I am discussing all these, I am referring to all these books. This is Jayadayal Goyandaka, Tattva Vivekani, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Gita Press. I strongly recommend this book. Don't buy other books. And I am referring also to Sadhaka Sanjeevani by Swami Ram Sukdas. This is Kailashnath Kalya. I am using it for, ready reference. You see, the meanings are all given very nicely tabulated. Easy on the eye actually. And right now we are actually working on this, Swami Nikhilananda. These are additional Telugu books which I am using for support. Here is another one. This is Sridhara Swami's rendition, which is called Subodhini, printed by ISKCON actually. Though this is Gaudiya Mutt and all that. So this is also a useful book. So I'm using even Gita Press, the Telugu version. So we are together doing lot of research on Bhagavad Gita. Jai Shri Ram.